Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Biology All-in-One. This is Divya and we are learning today the 9th SSC first unit, Cell, its structure and functions. Let us start the class. So here, you know what is cell? The cell is nothing but basic unit of life. About this you have learned in earlier classes. In 8th class, in 7th class, you have learned about the cell very well. Here, you know that the cell is the basic unit of life. You know, the cells are differentiated into two types on the number of cells present in the organism cell. The organism which is having a single cell called as unicellular organism cell. Unicellular organism cell. The organism which is made up of a single cell like amoeba, paramecium, euglena, chlamydomonas. All these are the organisms which have only a single cell and perform all the functions in the single cell. Depends on the number of cells present in the organisms are categorized into two types. One is unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. If you see the multicellular organisms are made up of n number of cells, many number of cells. Cell division is keep on happening. By the division of the cell, what is happening? The body size is generally growing. The growth of the body is happening by the cell division. Such kinds of the organisms are called as multicellular organism. See, in these organisms, I have told you that unicellular organisms are having a single cell and performs all the functions in the single cell only, like ingestion, digestion, egestion, assimilation, excretion. All these functions can be performed only through the single cell. The best example for that is amoeba. Amoeba is shapeless. Amoeba, paramecium, euglena, chlamydomonas, all these are come under the unicellular organisms. If you commanded to know about the multicellular organisms, here, as I told you, n number of cells, many number of cells are present in the multicellular organisms. See, these organisms, best example are plants and animals. Plants and animals are the best examples for the multicellular organisms. Then what is happening here? See, all the functions are performing in a single cell in the unicellular organism. But here, while coming to the multicellular organisms, here the cells develops into tissues, tissues develops into organs, organs develops into organ system develops into organism. Through an organism, population forms. Right? Population forms. So, here what is happening? For every function, we have different kinds of the systems for different kinds of the functions. See, we have different organs for the different kinds of the functions. For example, if you see, we have respiratory system, digestive system, excretory system, nervous system, circulatory system. Different kinds of the systems are present in the body as we have different functions or depends on the different organs. You know that. So here, while coming to the plant, the same type, the cells develops to tissues, tissues to organs, organs like organ system. In the animals it is happening. See my dears, we are going to see cell, its structure and functions. Unicellular organisms, it doesn't contain different kinds of the structures. See, while coming to the multicellular organisms, these multicellular organisms like plant and animals, here in this class, we are learning about the plant cell as well as the animal cell in a very clear manner. So, let us see what is the plant cell and what is the animal cell. How they differ from each other and all we'll see now. So see here. Now let us see animal cell. See, imagine this circle as an animal cell. Oval shape is an animal cell. See, the animal cell which is embedded with a membrane. We are going to see the structure first of all, which is embedded with the membrane. That membrane is known as cell membrane. See, this cell membrane is acting like a protective layer around the cell. Whatever the cell organelles which are present inside the cell are being protected by only the cell membrane. This cell membrane is also known as selectively permeable membrane. And it is also known as, I will tell you why these are having different kinds of the names, but before of that I will tell you what is the another name does it contain. See, one more name it has, plasma membrane. See, the first name is cell membrane. It is known as cell membrane because it is protecting the cell. Okay, it is around the cell. That's the reason it is known as cell membrane. And it is also called as plasma membrane because it is a very, very soft and delicate membrane which is present around the cell. That's the reason it is called as plasma membrane. You have the plasma membrane topic and for the classes we will discuss that. See, it is also known as selectively permeable membrane. Why it is known as selectively permeable membrane? It will choose the substances selectively and it is acting as a mediator between the external environment and the internal environment. So, it is acting as a medium and pass the materials selectively. Whatever it needs, whatever the cell needs, it pass it. Whatever the cell doesn't need it push out. Likewise, it will do. The cell membrane performs the function in that manner. That's the reason cell membrane is also known as selectively permeable membrane. See, if you see the cell membrane is also known as selectively permeable membrane and the plasma membrane. This thing you have to remember, very, very important. This bit may appear in the examinations. Okay. See, one more question, very, very important bit. And see here, the cell is filled up with the fluid known as cytoplasm. If you see the cytoplasm, this cytoplasm, cyto means cell. You know that. The study of cell is also called as cytology. Okay, cytokinesis means cell division. Likewise, cyto means cell. Plasm means it is like a fluid. So here, the cytoplasm is nothing but the fluid which is present inside the cell. Then what is the function of the cytoplasm? See, function of the cytoplasm is nothing but it is providing the nourishment to the different kinds of the cell organelles which are present inside the cell. It is providing the nourishment. So see my dears, before the scientists thought that cytoplasm is giving life to the cell organelles which are present inside the cell and they named it as protoplasm. Proto means life, plasm means fluid. They first named it as protoplasm. Cytoplasm first named as protoplasm, but later on scientists understand that it is not giving any life to the cell organelles which are present inside the cell. It is just giving the nourishment. It is nourishing the cell organelles. That's why they gave name as cytoplasm again. Understand? They gave name as cytoplasm. The protoplasm, they changed the name into the protoplasm into the cytoplasm. That thing was happened. And next, if you see the main organelle which is present inside the cell is nucleus. Nucleus, we call that it as control room of the cell. Nucleus is also known as control room of the cell. We are talking only about the animal cells, remember? We see, if you see the nucleus is also known as control room of the cell. Why it is known as the control room of the cell? See, how a teacher play a role in the class. What role played by the teacher? In that same manner, it is acting like that. It is boss of the cell. The nucleus is the boss of the cell. See, I told you that cell is having the fluid called as cytoplasm. Likewise, the nucleus is also having the fluid called as nucleoplasm. The fluid which is present inside the nucleus is known as nucleoplasm. See, the cell is surrounded by a layer is known as nuclear membrane. Likewise, the cell membrane. How the cell got embedded with the cell membrane? Here the nucleus is embedded with the nuclear membrane. See, what is there inside the nucleus? The nucleus is having the genetic material in the form of DNA. See, all the chromosomes and DNA are present in the nucleus only. Okay? See, first the scientists thought about the cell division and all. Scientists thought before the cell division, cell theory, while Sladen and Swan proposing the cell theory, the scientists thought that nucleus is giving birth to the new cells. I'll teach you that, but just now here I am telling you that. See, nucleus is giving birth to the new cells and they named it as cytoblast. Remember that? The name of the nucleus is cytoblast, which was given by the scientists. But later on, they understand that the nucleus is not giving birth to the new cells. It is not the cytoblast. New cells are not arising from the nucleus. New cells are arising from the pre-existing cells. New cells are arising from the pre-existing cells. How it is happening? It is happening just because of the cell division. We'll see what is cell division and what is the cell theory and all. See, cell theory was proposed by the scientists Sladen and Swan. Sladen and Swan, one is botanist and another one is zoologist. See, the two scientists were proposed the cell theory. In that theory, they have named it as cytoblast. But that theory was striken up by one more scientist, his name is Rudolf Karl Virchow. He is told that by the cell division only new cells are arising, not by the cell theory. Okay? That is what we are discussing. So here, if you see the cell organelles which are present inside the cell, I told you that this is called as boss of the cell. See, we'll see the different kinds of the cell organelles in the next class. Okay? We'll see the cell organelles like mitochondria, Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum. All those we'll see in further classes. Thank you.